All right. So thank you so much, everybody, for giving us this time to present. Ooh, my alarm clock. Let me turn that off. My name is Jane Lee from PopViz Computer Science. And in my past career, and now with PopViz, I was fortunate to have the chance to work with hundreds of educators, teachers, and students to help implement computer science in the classrooms. Today, I'll be presenting on computer science careers and why learning to code is so important. We've also invited Aviram Jenik, an extremely successful and well-respected cybersecurity expert and founder of a recently acquired company called Doesnt Security. And we'll have an opportunity to hear Aviram's insights and ask him questions. So we're going to keep the best for last. So that is the plan. And feel free to jump in and ask me any questions when you would like to. So to begin with, let's think about something here. So name one industry that doesn't involve computer science. Can you think of anything?
One industry. Go ahead. Like a fast food? What else? Somebody said construction. Towing? Sports?
Ooh. Well,
Babysitting?
if you're doing that at a big scale, maybe not. Well, it's getting more and more impossible to find sectors that doesn't use technology or doesn't gather data, work with data, or use computer science. And when I ask this question to schools in urban areas, we often get responses like farming. And well, if you thought farming was one of them, you're probably far, far off, because it's one of the areas that data scientists drool over, and AI, artificial intelligence, is used to give advice on optimal farming for maximum crop yields. And farming equipment, it's super high tech, and there are resources for farmers out there that are hacking tractor software. So, yep, farming is big on computer science. And I noticed that some students, was there cooking in the answer? Well, if you're running a restaurant, inventory management, food storage, and especially managing online delivery systems in this day and age is really crucial. And making everything most efficient and cost effective using data is also very, very important. And if you know your demographics for your restaurant and what the most popular food is or the dishes, and if you could replace certain ingredients to save cost, all of that is data driven. And making decisions based on data will save you lots of time and money. And especially it's important if you're thinking about scaling up your business, right? From a local restaurant to a global franchise, you got to really look at the data. So, yep. And then finance is a big area, and investment banks and financial services companies like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, they are hiring programmers left and right. And they even claim that they're a tech company now. And they have over 10,000 engineers, which represents about 25% of the bank's workforce, which is huge. And they're still hungry for hiring top programmers out there. Also, individuals, so people like you and I, right, can create bots that would trade for us. And imagine, at the end of the day, you come home and you find that your bot has done all the work to make lots of profit for you. Wouldn't that be exciting? So finance is a huge sector. And if you know what's happening with Bitcoins and cryptocurrency, it's huge, right? So see how much the Bitcoin value has increased over the years, 500 times. And there was a time where, people tried to pay for pizza with a Bitcoin. Imagine trying to do that now. And this is the price for today, $48,207 for a single coin. And now you can buy a house with just a few coins. And of course, medicine is huge, right? The robot surgeries and image analysis, and artificial intelligence is getting super smart. and they're getting very accurate at predicting and diagnosing diseases. And you probably know what's happening with the entertainment. So Disney has a whole dedicated lab for interactive visualization. And one of the smartest people that I know got a PhD in Carnegie Mellon in computer science and decided to work for Disney because they're so big in this area. And the balloons that you see here, this is from the movie Up, and snow and Frozen, and most every element in 3D animations, they are dynamically generated. So they would have an algorithm for how balloons would interact with each other if they're, in this massive scale versus, one or two. And snow, if it's humid, how would snow interact with each other, and how would it shape, and when would it melt? All of that is programmed. It's a fascinating field. And I haven't included in the slides what's happening with the music industry, but all those filters that would correct your voice and change it, that's all software also. Okay, and then, so sports, somebody mentioned sports, right? And it's getting very big on computer science now. And famous teams nowadays, they use software and all these, fancy cameras to analyze strategies and player strengths using these really advanced software. And also NFL uses a software that crunches millions of data to create the most fun and exciting matches. So who plays who when, that's all decided based on data. And that data is huge. And there's a clip on that I can share with you after this, but it's very exciting. And then there are other sectors, right? Like education and pretty much everything that happens in life. Like when you're watching Netflix, YouTube, TikTok, they're all algorithm driven, and they would recommend all these things for you that will lock you on the platform for hours and hours. So it's almost impossible to escape computer science data at this point. So we might as well be on top of it and be able to manipulate it and be the creators, right? Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you is this clip. It's a very famous clip. You probably have seen it here and there. And it's an interview with Steve Jobs. And I believe this was in 1995. And let's listen.
I think everybody in this country should learn how to program a computer, should learn a computer language, because it teaches you how to think. And so I view computer science as a liberal art. It should be something that everybody takes a year in their life. One of the courses they take is, learning how to program.
Yep, and we're actually in the CS Ed Week, and you can try out many Hour of Code activities, including stuff that's on PopViz. Yeah, so what you learn from school, it's very important. It's, it not only prepares you for future careers, it gives you vocational skills, and also, give you skills that extends beyond computer science and coding. So, computer science is special because it's vocational, and at the same time, it's also, interdisciplinary. It combines with other sectors. And lastly, it equips you with logical and analytical thinking skills that will help you solve big and small problems of all sorts. So it is foundational. All right, so the next part, I want to introduce you to Aviram. And another tech sector that is sizzling hot right now is cybersecurity. And in the US, 1 in 10 adults will fall victim to a scam or a fraud. And you probably receive these strange messages by text, emails. Don't click on the links. Never click on the links. And 1.3 million children have their identity stolen every year. You might have a friend or two whose Facebook accounts have been hacked. It happens everywhere, not for just individuals, but big companies, right? And there are news out there just, on what's happening with all these hackings and Yep. So this field is getting very, very big. And according to Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, the number of jobs in the cybersecurity sector is expected to grow by 31% between 2019 and 2029. So that rate far exceeds all occupations. And next, we're going to hear from well-respected expert in the cybersecurity field who has written many books in this area and is a successful CEO and founder of a company called Beyond Security, which recently got acquired. And I'm very excited to introduce you to Aviram Jenik. Hey, Aviram.
Hi, Jane. Hi, everybody. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes. So, yeah, thank you so much for giving us your time. I know you're very busy, and congratulations on your exit, on one of the many exits. And to start off, could you tell the audience what you and your company do?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Beyond Security, we are a little bit different. So we're, of course, a cybersecurity company, and we take a little bit of a different angle. Usually in cybersecurity, we try to defend, we try to protect from attackers, from them doing something. And at Beyond Security, we are the attackers. So we're the ones who try to figure out how do we attack stuff? Where are the security holes? And we do it through products. We develop products that automatically try to simulate what the hackers do. And the idea behind it is, if we're like the hackers, if we find these security problems, then we can fix it. So we can allow companies to actually find the problems early and fix them, or figure out how do hackers enter and how will hackers enter, where would the attacks come from, and then block them before they actually happen. So for us, it's a lot of fun. We get to be the ones that break stuff.
Oh, wow. Sounds exciting. So how did you get into this field?
So actually, it's a really interesting story. So back when I was, I think in elementary school, I was interested in security. There wasn't a lot of stuff happening back then. There were, I mean, definitely not like today. There weren't a lot of computers. There was no internet, but there was some connectivity. You could communicate with other computers. And I was really curious about the security of these things. There were computer viruses. I mean, there's a lot of them today, but those were the early days of computer viruses. And I was, again, took the angle, even back then, sort of my curiosity was around how will I be the attacker? So trying to put myself in the shoes of an attacker, and how will I attack this thing? And then I would point out those weaknesses to the people running the systems. So I would go to somebody running, let's say, a server or a computer farm or somebody providing a service, and I would say, look, if we, I was able to get in through that way. So if I do this thing, here's a hole that I can go through. And I wasn't really sure what to do with it. So that was just my curiosity. I was doing it for fun. And then in the early 90s, a movie came out called Sneakers. And they, what I saw in the movie basically was a bunch of people doing what I was doing. So trying to hack stuff for money, and banks paid the money to tell them what the problems are. And it's a great movie. It's an old movie, but it's a really, really fun movie. And this is where I said, well, I that's what I want to do. I want to go out and be like those guys doing hacking for money for the good guys. So that's how I got started.
Oh my gosh, yes. I know a couple other people who are really good computer scientists, programmers, who actually started out their career by hacking games. So I can totally relate to that.
Right.
Yes, they want to cheat, and that actually really motivated them to learn computer science and coding. So yeah, and
well, I think a lot of it is just thinking outside the box, right? It's finding unusual answers to questions.
Yes. Yep. So why do you find cybersecurity so important? And have you seen trends in the attacks and kind of the needs in the industry? Sure.
Right. So, so kind of like you showed with computers. So computers now are everywhere, right? They're really, really everywhere. If you've got like an Alexa at home or Google Home, then you know how many things you can control with computers, right? Those are basically computers. So now you've got computers in your light bulbs and your car and your TV. Those are all computers. It didn't used to be. It used to be that a TV was something with a button. We press the button, we watch TV. But now it's a computer. It's connected to the internet. And this is the same way with cybersecurity. So everywhere there is a computer, there's a security problem. A security problem follows, because security problems are basically bugs. They're errors. There's something, but they're a nice kind of. I mean, they're special kind of errors, right? So the typical error is, let's say I write computer code and there's an error, and then the usual error is it doesn't do what I'm supposed to do. So I have a light bulb. I click the button, it doesn't turn on. That's a bug. That's an error. That's a software bug. But that's really easy to see, easy to fix, right? Because it's not good. Customers complain, right? And then you fix the bug. Security problems are a little bit different. There's still bugs in the software, but with the security problems, I'm doing something that I was not supposed to do. So it's really, really hard to find. So let's say with a light bulb, that it's not that the switch doesn't turn it on. It maybe I have some way remotely. I found like a really, really, really clever way to turn it on. I'll give you an example. So, we all know Alexa, right? Or Siri, or whatever it is you're using, and then you can say, hey Alexa, turn on my TV, and Alexa turns on the TV. So again, a bug would be I'm going to tell turn on the TV, and she won't turn the TV, and then the programmer will fix it. That's a software bug. That's easy. A security bug would be, well, what if I use something like a dog whistle? What if I use like a frequency that humans can't hear, but Alexa can hear, because Alexa is a computer? And then on that frequency, I say, hey, Alexa, turn on the TV. Now, what if I tell Alexa to open the front door because there's an electric key, right? And I set in a frequency humans can't hear. And what if I am able to transmit it over, now let's go crazy, over a Spotify song? So you're listening to your favorite Spotify station, and I find a way to insert a song, quote unquote song, and that song is a command to Alexa to do something in your home, except you don't hear it because it's not on your volume. So this is a computer bug, right? It's a software error. It's not supposed to happen, but nobody will find it. Nobody will find it until somebody specifically looks for it. It's not a typical bug where it's not doing something. Now, this is where cybersecurity comes in. And what happens is these type of errors, these type of really, really clever attacks, basically, they follow computers. So a computer comes in. First of all, computers comes in, and then they don't work well. We all remember, like Alexa in the beginning didn't work well. Still doesn't work well for me, but getting better. A little bit later, it gets really good. They fix all the bugs, but the security holes are still there, right? And then years later, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, sometimes 30 years later, we find those security bugs, because as you saw with my example, like how would you even look for that kind of bug? Like who would think to use like a sound frequency that only Alexa can hear? And then that's just one example. There's probably more bugs that I haven't thought of. So everywhere there's computers, cybersecurity follows. Cybersecurity attacks follow. And the more computers there are, the more people are searching for those bugs, because you mentioned Bitcoin, right? So now we can make money. Imagine when computers go into cars. Computers are going to cars. Tesla is like 90% computers. Now, as an attacker, like I'd like to go into a Tesla. Like, what can I do? Can I get all the Teslas to move out of my way so I can just cruise in traffic without a problem? Can I crash somebody's car, right? For really, really bad reasons. These are all cybersecurity things, and they follow computers, and they're more and more everywhere. So every place you showed in your slide that's going to be computerized, this is where cybersecurity is going to be in a few years, just a few years later.
Wow. I hope we're not giving ideas. Oh my God.
So the bad guys don't need the ideas. They're already there. They're already thinking about them. What we need is good guys. So we need the people who want to do it for good reasons, right? That's what we're doing, so that we can find it earlier. So we actually do want to be thinking about those kind of ideas as much as possible, and let's fix them, right? Let's fix them quickly. When a good guy finds it, and like the Alexa example that I gave, that we know about this. I haven't. That wasn't my idea. Somebody thought about it, and quickly talked about it with everybody. So now we know what the problem is. We can deal with it. So we actually do want to think as much as possible about, like, how do we break it? How do we hack it? How do we go around it? Those are all good things, and they're fun.
Yeah. So the field is expanding, it's growing, and probably the career prospects are looking very good. So do you actually feel the field growing, and what's the prospects like right now?
So right now it's growing like in a crazy way. So being cybersecurity today is great. I don't know what'll happen in 2 years and 5 years or 10 years, but today and maybe the next at least couple of years, cybersecurity is growing. There are a lot more. So the more computers there are, like I said, the more security problems there are, and there's not enough people to do it. We need a lot of people in cybersecurity. So going into cybersecurity now is probably so back in the 90s. I want to do cybersecurity, and there was very little that I could do. Like, there wasn't a lot. I still did it, but it wasn't for money. It was hard to make money. Now it's just so easy to make money in cybersecurity because there's so much demand for it, and there will be, like I said, more and more. The more computers we'll have, the more demand we'll have. Now, think about the next stage, which we're not there yet. So when we have AI, when we have artificial intelligence, what kind of security problems we'll have there, right? So now we've got computers that are thinking, and what kind of security problems will arise? We can't even imagine, because we don't even know how that world will look like. So, I mean, to answer your question, I think absolutely cybersecurity is a great career.
Yeah, now that you mentioned AI, I did not include that in my slides, but yeah, nowadays, machine learning, people don't even know how machines learn anymore, right? They learn on their own, and like, who knows what kind of bugs are in there. So, wow. Yeah. So, yeah, you've been a CEO of multiple companies, you founded companies and you exited them. And I was thinking maybe this extends beyond just cybersecurity employees, but just, tech employees in general. So what do you look for in an employee when you hire, and what kind of backgrounds do your employees have?
So I think the number one thing that I look for, and I think it's true for most employers, is passion. And this goes back to like a career choice. So I think career choice is important, and we want to go to some place to a place where there's a good career path, right? But more than anything, I think it's important to find the career path that we're passionate about. And a lot of time the challenge is, how do we find passion in a good career path, or how do we take something we're passionate about and make it into a career? So those are big. I don't know the answer to these questions. These are big questions that people have to struggle with, but you probably need to answer those questions. So, because this is what employers look for. They look for passion. If somebody tells me, I'm in cybersecurity because there's a lot of money in it, well, I got to think to myself, well, what if there's something else comes up, and there's more money? So maybe there's more money in Bitcoin, and will they switch over to Bitcoin tomorrow just because there's more money in it? If somebody tells me they're passionate about it, wow, then I'm interested. Another thing about passion is, passion gets you doing. Passion is a multiplier. It's a force multiplier. So, and I think we all know it from our life. When we're doing something we're passionate about, we just do it so much better. We do it better. We spend more time on it. It's so important. So again, goes back to, and this is something I cannot answer. How do we combine passion with some career, or how do we get our passion into a career? Figure that out, and then employers will get it. And another thing about passion is, it's really hard to fake. So you cannot really fake, or at least I think I can spot people who fake passion to me. It's kind of easy to spot. And I guess the second thing that I look for, that's maybe a little more unique in my field, is curiosity. So I place a really high value on curious people. I think curious people find unusual solutions to problems. They find shortcuts. They find a better way to do things. They ask questions that nobody else asks, which is what we want. We want to be innovative. We want to find new paths, right? So I really like curious people. I think in cybersecurity especially, curious people do really, really well. Cybersecurity is where it's not a traditional, I guess, industry where you learn. So let's take learning, for example. It's very, very hard to learn cybersecurity. It's you can go to university and there are courses. The courses don't really help you in your work. They maybe teach you the foundation, but you can't really use that. It's not like there are many things you learn at school or university that you can take and apply later on. Not cybersecurity. It's really, really hard to apply cybersecurity from learning. And the reason is it changes. It's so different. Cybersecurity today is not cybersecurity of last year, of 2020. Definitely not 2015. If I go back to the Snickers movie, then it's, oh my God, it looks like it was done 100 years ago. Like it's so old, it doesn't even make sense. So curious people do really, really well in that environment because they want to learn new stuff, because they want to figure out different ways to do things. So I guess in class, the curious people, and this is where it becomes a little odd. So I think there's a good correlation in cybersecurity between students who don't do well in school and people who do really well in cybersecurity. So that's an encouragement to the students in the class, but also to the teacher. And the reason is, in cybersecurity, we find a lot of shortcuts. We do things in a very non-conventional way. We often say, teachers, they ask a question and they expect an answer. And in cybersecurity, we say, well, that's the wrong question. I will not answer this question because it's the wrong question. I'll make up a different question and I'll answer that, which is something that's really hard to do in school. So my encouragement is, if you are not doing well in school, but it's because you're curious and because you're doing things a little bit differently, go to cybersecurity. Maybe that is the right thing for you. And hopefully your teacher encourages that kind of out of the box, different, non-traditional thinking, because again, it's not true for life in general. There are some things in life where it doesn't work out well, but in cybersecurity, it does.
That is so interesting. And I guess an important skill set that would help you succeed in cybersecurity is to just practice formulating good questions and see things in a different angle. And just be curious and keep testing out things. So I guess that connects to my next question, which has to do with studying in school. And you probably covered this a little bit there, but many students, they struggle with STEM subjects, science, math, and also computer science and coding. It can be a bit challenging, and some students, they might give up, but it's very important that you actually try things out and then go through it and stick around and make sure that you can, succeed little by little and accumulate that. And then at some point you will have that confidence to take on bigger challenges. And so I was wondering if there are tips or any stories of how you've overcome obstacles in life or in general. What kind of strategies and mindsets helped you? So
that's a good point. I think that's a good point, and I think that's a great question and something really to maybe dive a little bit into. So let me start by saying I was not good at math. I struggled with math. I got there was a semester where all I got was like horrible failing grades, like failed miserably in math. And And STEM is tough. So I did a computer science. I got a computer science degree, and I almost dropped. Maybe I almost dropped out. I wouldn't have dropped out, but if something would have caused me to drop out, it was physics. The physics that I studied was very, very hard. So let's start by saying STEM is hard. It is hard. It's a tough subject, and when things are hard, we sometimes fail at them. So I think we have to start by saying, yes, some things are hard, and hard means I might fail or barely pass, right? That's another thing we're not used to, right? We're used to being A. We're so smart. How can we not get an A in this thing? How can we barely pass? And I think it's a personal. So what do we do with that is a little bit personal, and I can share with you some of the things that I've done over my life. So in some cases, I accept my situation. So if I barely pass a subject, I would say, you know what, I passed it. Yes, it was really, really hard. Yes, maybe I'm average or below average compared to my peers, because that's another thing. You look at other people and you say, wow, how can they do so well compared to me? But I accept my situation. Hey, this was a really tough course for me, and I barely passed it, but I passed it. I went through, and let's move on with life. That doesn't say anything about me. That just says about me in this specific subject and this specific point in life. Another thing is, what do you do with a challenge? And that's also, again, there's no one specific answer, but with challenges, I've had cases where I said, this is a tough challenge, and I have to crack it. And because it's so tough, again, for me, and it's the frustration usually comes from where you're looking at other people and you say, wow, how is it so easy? Math. Some people have a really easy time with math, right? I've had friends, they would look at a problem and half a second later, they would figure it out. And I would sit there for hours and, until I got it. But then you realize, you say, okay, this is where I'm at. I take hours or days where other people take seconds or minutes, but I want to crack this challenge. I want to break through. So I will put in the work, and I will do what I need to do because I want to pass it, right? Ideally though, so having this experience though, what usually works best, if I can do it, so not I can't always do it, but if I can do it, is find that, I'm going to call it a shortcut, but a shortcut is maybe not a good way. So I'll try to figure it out. How do I hack this thing? What will get me the result that I want to get? So how do I connect passion into it? What will get me excited about this thing? How can I get it? How can I do this thing in a better way, in a more exciting way? Sometimes the answer is I can't, it's a dead end. I can't do it. And then I go back to one of the other things that I said. But sometimes you do. Sometimes you find a little bit of a shortcut. Hey, let's do it. Let's do it a little bit different. Let's do it in somewhere different ways. So one good example for passion is subjects are usually a bunch of different things, right? So you have so math has a lot of different aspects to it. Find the aspect that you like, and sometimes there's things that I like and things that I really dislike. So let's find the thing that I like and do them more, and figure out how do I do that thing more than the other thing, or apply this to something else that you like. And this is the best. So if I could apply, I like programming, I like development. If I can apply this kind of thing to development, so with physics, what I did, I wrote physics software. And first of all, that gave me that get me more excited because I love developing. So I like the physics suddenly because it was around the programming. And then it was a little bit of a shortcut. So when I didn't know how to do something, I programmed it, and the program gave me the answer. So if you can attach it to something else that you like and do it that way. And again, I'm saying shortcuts. We usually say shortcuts are a bad thing, right? I think shortcuts in life are a great thing. If you can figure out how to solve this issue, how to go around this obstacle that you have with this thing that nobody else is doing, then you won the game. So these are some of the other things. But I think the bottom line is to say, this is a challenge, and I have to overcome it. I need to find a way for me to overcome this challenge. And then once you start with that mindset, you know, it's much easier to get to the result, because like, you know, we say failure is not an option, kind of, you know, we say it as a mantra, but if you adopt it, if you say, look, I have to pass this thing, because once I pass this wall, behind that wall is the thing that I want to get. So if you start with, I'm gonna climb this wall, I'm gonna pass this thing, and then, you know, I need to figure out how, you'll find a solution.
Yeah. So finding that passion, right? And then combining it with computer science and making it into something that you can work with, and just, you know, making small successes throughout your life.
Right. Combine it with activities you love. You know, find the angle that is unique to you. You know, with so like I said, I was doing cybersecurity. That was my passion when I was young. There was no money in it. There was nothing to do in cybersecurity at that point. And but I loved it. That was my passion. So I combined it with other things that I liked, like programming, like development. And I was doing that as a main thing with cybersecurity on the side. And that gave me the fuel, that gave me the passion, gave me the energy that I needed. So find that passion, find that angle in whatever you're doing and dislike. And that'll help you. That's the cheat code basically for doing it better.
Yeah, that's a great tip. So I know that a lot of the students here are working with coding and with Raspberry Pi circuit boards. And if you can combine that with what you like, what your interest is in, I think you're going to be creating awesome projects.
Right. So Raspberry Pi is a great example to that, because it's so versatile. You know, find a thing you like in life, find out how Raspberry Pi can do it better, and there you go. And you find your path to programming, towards your passion, towards what is it you want to do.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that tip. And I guess we can open up questions. So if there are any questions, please ask, and I'll unmute.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, I heard what you said, perseverance is definitely, we like to praise failing forward. So you might fail at that, but what did you learn from it? And so that was right on some of the things that we kind of talk about here at Lee's Summer Academy too. So guys, I'll put the camera like a little closer. If you guys have any questions, you want to kind of step up? Yeah, why not? All right, well, you don't have to step up. Just ask your question, but ask it loud.
Was there ever a time that you were looking for a bug, but you found something that you didn't expect to find?
Could you hear that?
No, I need someone to repeat the question.
That's okay. She said, was there ever a time you were looking for a bug and you actually found something completely different? Like another bug, but it was not what you were looking for?
Oh my God, so many times. So yes, and it's so disheartening, because it makes you think like, what else am I missing, right? What else am I not doing well? So yes, and vice versa. So sometimes we're looking for a bug, and then we're finding someone else. By the way, we often have in programming development where, you know, we're looking for this small bug somewhere, and then we find this huge bug, and we go like, how can this be here? That's, you know, I can't believe that we've got this huge bug that nobody saw before, and we uncover. So yeah, so that happens a lot. And with security, there is an interesting angle, because how we look for bugs is a little bit different. Like how would you go looking for a bug where, you know, it's not that I'm looking for a certain behavior. It's not that it's not doing well. It's not doing something well. And in security, what happens a lot is we go looking for a functional bug. We're saying, you know, this thing that was supposed to work is not working. We start digging into it, and then we uncover this huge security bug. We go like, hey, wait a minute, nobody's really checking this type of thing that we're doing. So yeah, that happens a lot, and it's a lot of fun.
something completely different.
Like career-wise
No,
or
like
coding-wise?
coding-wise, yeah.
Okay, so you get just so frustrated in a code that you're just like, oh my gosh, you want to slam the laptop down and just forget it. How do you overcome that?
Oh yeah. So that's especially true. So in programming, I mean, it's true in life in general, but in programming, it's at a really different. It's a whole new level. So what's unique about programming is it's very easy to get tunnel vision in programming. So you have to be. Programming is a combination of creativity. You have to be really creative and innovative and think about new stuff. And then there are some basic rules that you have to follow. So some things you just do the quote unquote right way. So it's a mix of those two things together. And what sometimes happens is you get this tunnel vision. You're doing things the right way and you're stuck. And because you're in this tunnel, right? You're not seeing it right. You're missing the point. So you're looking at something, but again, like I said before, you're asking a question and but it's the wrong question, right? You're trying to figure out the answer to the question, but what you're not seeing is that's not the question. That's not the right one. And you mentioned before, like looking for a bug and finding another bug, right? And that happens to us. By the way, the reverse also happens, and I'm sure you felt it. Like sometimes we get into this zone, right? Sometimes we're sitting, we're in the flow, and we're writing code, and like we're doing 10 times the amount of code that we would do regularly because we're so focused and things are going so well. So we get the opposite. We get like we're stuck. We're hitting our head against the wall, and that happens. And then what do? You have to. I think the hardest part is to realize that you're there, that you're in the slump, that you're in the swamp, right? You're stop and we say when you're in a hole, stop digging, right? So realizing you're in a hole, that's usually the tough part. Once you realize it, obviously take a break. Do something else. Do a refresh. Put this piece of code aside, move to another thing, completely different thing. I think as you get experience, you start realizing. So at the beginning, it's counterintuitive. You say, well, if I don't work on this piece of code, how will I solve this problem? After you get experience, you kind of get it. It's like, it's a little hard to explain, but first of all, your mind keeps thinking about it. So you're doing something else, but in the background, your mind still thinks about that thing. You know how you sometimes go to sleep and you wake up and you're like, oh, I know the answer. So this happens a lot in programming. We stop thinking about it and then the answer comes like from another part of the brain. But sometimes all we need is a little break, and then we come back in and then we look at it fresh eyes. And we go like, well, how did I not see this before? It's right in front of me. But again, I was staring at this specific code, but it's over there. So take a break, do something you like, listen to some music, go watch Netflix, take your mind off it, work on another piece of code maybe, or ask a friend. And that's something that helps a lot. We do a lot of code reviews, peer reviews, just a fresh set of eyes. Somebody looks at the code and say, well, it's right there. How can you not see it? Because we've been staring at this thing for so long, we're not seeing that something that somebody with fresh eyes would come in. And again, sometimes it's just a question. Somebody with a fresh pair of eyes will come in and ask that question. That's pretty obvious that we're not asking. So these are all ways to do it. As you get experience, you get you put it into your routine and you do it even without noticing. But at this point, if you don't have this experience yet, and you feel like you're banging your head against the wall, then stop digging this hole, deeper. Go do something else, and just come back to it later. Come back to it tomorrow morning. Come back to it. Take a break for an hour or two, and you'll find your own techniques on how to do it.
And this is where I'll say I didn't tell you to say all that, and I'm glad that you just validated everything that I'm always telling them. Get a fresh pair of eyes. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Exactly.
Yeah, and troubleshooting is 90% of coding, right?
100%, exactly right. Troubleshooting is 90% of coding. personally, I'm really bad. So I'm one of the worst people. I've seen people who write perfect code or almost perfect code. I know they exist. I'm not that person. I'm the person who writes code. It doesn't work. I debug it. I tweak it. It works a little bit better. I tweak it more. It works a little bit better. And then I get to the point where I say, well, it's good enough. Let's just, keep it there. There are a lot of people who write a lot better code than I do. Elegant, beautiful, nice. That's okay. I don't mind. I don't care. I found my way of doing things, and it works really, really well for me. You might be more like me, or you might be one of the people who write really beautiful, elegant code. I think both get to the same result at the end, which means both are good methods.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out one thing that you mentioned that I think it's super important, asking for help, and not just your peers or, anyone near you, but finding that community online is also a very good technique that will get you far beyond what you learn in school. So yeah, I think, asking for the help and finding the community and knowing how to ask that question is also something that you should learn how to do, because yeah, it's really important.
Yeah.
That's definitely some food for thought, for sure.
Yeah, so I was hoping I could wrap up with two things. So one is that Aviram invests and advises startups. So maybe later in your careers, if you have a great startup idea, reach out and pitch.
Absolutely. Let me know.
Yep. So, and then the other thing is, I just wanted to share a tweet real quick. So let me share my screen. So it's a tweet from Ben Sichi. He used to work at NASA. Now he's a senior director of engineering at Blue Origin. It's a aerospace company founded by Jeff Bezos. And this is what he said. Got a 2.4 GPA my first semester in college. Thought maybe I wasn't cut out for engineering. Today, I've landed 2 spacecrafts on Mars and am now designing one for the moon. STEM is hard for everyone. Grades ultimately aren't what matter. Curiosity and perseverance matter. So these are the names of the 2 spacecrafts, right? So I just wanted to share that real quick.
Interesting. Okay, right.
Yeah.
That is excellent to share, because I feel like grades are given a very big priority, or kind of, and it's stressful, and you can't be perfect at everything. But again, yes, curiosity and perseverance are big traits to have to be successful.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you so much for setting this up. What do we say, class? Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.